All right, let's get it going. This is the Fringe. I'm Mike Berquist. Doing this on Tuesday, and this is not a last second thing. This is I tried to do the show yesterday several times, and it was bad every time. It was just not very good. I think that's going to be my new format. Is if I have to record at home, which I'm going to have to do again next week because there's a live broadcast of something else uh, up around that area, I think, the Pauling, Dover area. Um, I think what I need to do is record a terrible show first and then do the best one ever the next day. I think that's the way to play it from here on out. Maybe, maybe not. This echo in my headphones is driving me nuts, but what can you do? All right, let's start Let's start the show the same way we always start the show with a happy birthday, rest in peace. I'm going to keep it up to date because it's Tuesday, September 4th when I'm recording this. And hopefully when you're listening to it also. I'm just going to do September 4th, birthday, death day. And for that, today, we've got happy birthday to Laszlo Jones. Laszlo Jones is a writer, producer, director, talk show host. He's also a major person in the Grand Theft Auto series of video games. Anybody who ever played those games, which should be most males around my age, Laszlo from the in-game radio stations is Laszlo Jones, an actual broadcaster. So, yeah, he's a pretty big deal. Laszlo Jones, 44 years old. Happy birthday, Laszlo, and rest in peace today to Joan Rivers. Um, I didn't look up when Joan Rivers died. What was the year when Joan Rivers died? 2014. That sounds about right. Um, yeah, that it was the sort of off-brand facial surgery, right? It was like the anesthesia, I think, took her out. It says her cause of death is cerebral hypoxia, which believe means not enough oxygen to the brain. So, that was a shame that you know somebody like Joan Rivers, the stature of Joan Rivers, to go out in such a I don't know terrible accidental way is just I don't know. It's weird. But a lot of celebrities go out in terrible accidental ways, I suppose. This is not a very nice way to start the show. Um, well, that was the first start and stop of the show, and hopefully the last. Just had to let the dog back in the house because, yeah, I guess I'm kind of house sitting right now while I'm doing my show. Also, if you hear the clicking and clacking of little feet, that's the dog walking around. Um, so, anyways, let's get into some news. I think first I'm going to take a drink of Monster Energy drink. Ah, delicious. Please send me millions of dollars, Monster Energy. I mean, I'll pose next to a skateboard if you need me to for your own ads. That's fine. I'm not gonna ride the skateboard. I would like to do a commercial for Monster Energy drink where it's me holding a skateboard, and then I drink a whole can of Monster Energy drink. I just chug it, and I force a smile onto my face, and then I say, I don't know what their slogan is. I was going to say, gives me wings, but that's Red Bull. Monster Energy drink. I guess their slogan is not recommended to have more than 3 in 24 hours. I guess that's their slogan. So I hold up the now empty can. I say that into the camera. And then I look like I'm about to go down the ramp, and then we cut away to, I'm going to say archive footage of Tony Hawk doing like the 900. But we pretend it's me the entire time. And then I come back on the other side. We spritz me so I look sweaty. I assume skateboarding could be a sweat-inducing activity. Maybe. I don't know. This might be where the commercial falls apart. But listen, that's just my idea. That's off the top of the dome, just spitballing here. So I mean, if Monster wants to reach out with their own ideas, that's I'm more than welcome. They're more than welcome to do that. Um, okay, now there's a fly in here. That's good. All right, let's. I'm getting way too distracted. Way too distracted. But I definitely have a lot better energy than yesterday. Take that, past me. All right. Let's get to the news like I said we were going to. Kavanaugh confirmation hearings are getting underway and protesters are protesting. That's, it's weird. It's the same kind of thing that happens no matter which party's in charge. The other party always does this, where they have the protesters and the congressmen just sort of steamrolling everything, and it's not good. It's always babyish on the other side, and this side this time is the Democrats. It was the Republicans last time. It's the Democrats this time. So, yeah, fireworks as Kavanaugh confirmation hearings get underway. I mean, it's going to be a generic article that could probably be copy paste and just change the names from whatever the last congressional hearing protest was. It's all nonsense every time. Big dog and pony show. Yeah, the people are never represented. So, but you know what? That was a bit of a leap without me explaining my train of thought, and I'm going to leave it that way. So, I'm a little curious about something. I talked about this briefly on the show that I didn't do, so good reference point because I'm the only one that's heard some of it. Actually, I should have heard all of it if you think about it because it was me. I was the one saying all of the things. Anyways, maybe this was last week. I don't know. But the whole Donald Trump, Jeff Sessions thing, I didn't know that they had a bad relationship. I thought just because Jeff Sessions had been in the White House for a while now, that he was one of the good ones, perhaps. Apparently not. According to Huffington Post here, the president and the attorney general have had a contentious union for almost as long as Trump has been in office. And now a commercial from Ben & Jerry's. Oh, how I loathe advertisements. So, U.S. Attorney General Jeff Sessions may have job security until November, but few are betting on their friendship after that. The fact is that he's been at odds with his boss, President Donald Trump, for the majority of his tenure. So, I guess a little over a year. What do we got? So apparently the relationship began to deteriorate almost immediately after the Senate confirmed Sessions to head the Justice Department. Resignation rumors erupted months later. Trump denied it. Now they're thinking that it might come to fruition now. But so Huffington Post, in a rare moment of actually trying to do something helpful in journalism, decided to make a timeline of the sort of Trump-Sessions relationship. So is a lot of it conjecture? Probably. Is a lot of it out of context or reading into things that the whoever wrote this was not literally a part of? Yeah, it's probably a lot of second or third-hand information being repeated. I mean, the only two people who are really going to know for sure about this are Trump and Sessions, and of course, I don't believe they're doing that. I think Trump might have passive-aggressively, tweeted some things about Jeff Sessions, but he does that about everybody. I'm hoping that I can get him to call me like a low-talent individual on Twitter or something. I just got to get this show to a point where like I bash him, and then he makes me feel bad about everything I do. I think that's what it is. That's the goal, right? You want the leader of your country to insult you on a social media website. I mean, all the cool kids are doing it. And, if you listen to the Democrats, they'll tell you they're the cool kids. So, back to this now. And also, I hope I'm not a low-talent individual, even if fictional Donald Trump would say that. So, let's get back to it. February 2016, Sessions backs Trump campaign. That sounds good. Sessions said back then, I told Donald Trump this isn't a campaign, this is a movement. Look at what's happening. The American people are not happy with their government. So it seems like things are going nice. November 2016, Trump picks Sessions for Attorney General. Yep, we all remember. January 2017, Sessions missteps at confirmation hearing. Here's where a lot of the politicizing, I think, is going to come into play here. The first fracture began to crack during Sessions' confirmation hearing, sitting in front of the Senate Judiciary Committee, which is nonsense. Any Senate committee doesn't do anything. All it is a platform for them to say buzzwords that hopefully will make their constituents happy, but who's watching C-SPAN, when these things are happening? Who's really locked into Fox News or MSNBC or CNN when these things are happening. There's no reason to be, because these committees, they're not about the person who it's supposed to be about. It's about the people on the committee trying to make themselves seem like the super politician who has the people's best interest in mind. Very rarely do they. It's just a way for them to give themselves a little boost in the polls. That's all these confirmation hearings are. That's all any kind of Senate committee is in any what's it called, scenario, I guess, for lack of a better term. Like if it's head of a corporation testifying, like Mark Zuckerberg testifying, Peter Strzok testifying in something not social media. Peter Strzok was more of the FBI stuff, and all those confusing narratives that, you know what, I just had a thought that a lot of the narratives in America, the Republicans are saying these are not stories, but the left keeps making them into stories and stretching them out to the point where it's like, first of all, nobody cares about this anymore. And second of all, you've had a lot of time to prove something conclusively, and you've done nothing to get that done. It becomes soap opera-ish. The Democrats have stretched these things out, the Russian investigation, the FBI stuff, all these different things. They've stretched it out so long and tried to throw so many twists and different things into it and failed every time that all they've done is create a live soap opera. That's all they've done. So let's get back to this, because that's neither here nor there. But under questioning from then Senator Al Franken, who was promptly slaughtered like the sacrificial cow by his own party after he did the fake boob grab pictures, and he got Me Too'd, I think, or sexual harassment. I don't remember what the cultural phrase everyone was tweeting out at the time was. That might have been Me Too, but yeah. So Al Franken, let's see. He asked Sessions if there is any evidence that anyone affiliated with the Trump campaign communicated with the Russian government in the course of this campaign. What will you do? Sessions responded, Senator Franken, I'm not aware of any of those activities. I've been called a surrogate at a time or two in that campaign, and I did not have communications with the Russians, and I'm unable to comment on it. Senator Patrick Leahy also asked Sessions in a written questionnaire if he had contact with anyone connected to any part of the Russian government before or after Election Day. Sessions responded that he did not. And then reports later indicated that both Sessions' statements were false. So, March 2017, Sessions recuses himself from... Oh, it's more of the Russian stuff. I'm so sick of the Russian stuff. Enough already with that. July 2017, Trump undercuts Sessions to New York Times. Trump told the New York Times that he wouldn't have considered Sessions for the cabinet role if he had known that Sessions would bow out of the Russia investigation. Trump told the Times in July 2017, Jeff Sessions takes the job, gets into the job, recuses himself. I then have, which frankly I think is very unfair to the president. That was the whole quote? That didn't make sense. They could have cleaned that up. Let's see. How do you take a job and then recuse yourself? If he would have recused himself before the job, I would have said, thanks, Jeff, but I can't, I'm not going to take you. It's extremely unfair, and that's a mild word to the president, he continued. So, March 2018, Sessions extends an olive branch. He made a peace offering after the president sent a number of critical tweets. So, March 2018, a year after his recusal, Sessions announced he would look into several matters identified as priorities by Republicans. The announcement came in response to a letter from Republican lawmakers requesting a second special counsel to investigate the FBI's handling of both the Trump-Russia investigation and a separate inquiry into the Obama administration's approval of the Uranium One deal while Hillary Clinton was Secretary of State. For months on Twitter and at speaking engagements, Trump rallied against what he claimed was FBI bias against him and leniency towards Clinton. In case nobody remembers that happening still to this day. May 2018, reports say Trump asked Sessions to reverse his recusal. June 2018, getting close to today, Trump dials up his disdain. Here's a nice tweet. The Russian witch hunt hoax continues, all because Jeff Sessions didn't tell me he was going to recuse himself. I would have quickly picked someone else. So much time and money wasted, so many lives ruined, and Sessions knew better than most that there was no collusion. And you know what? I mean, Trump does have a point here where you're going to take the job as attorney general, and then as soon as like the going gets tough, you recuse yourself. And maybe it was because of the lying. There's probably a legal reason why Jeff Sessions had to recuse himself to save his own ass in some capacity. But yeah, I mean, I get the frustration of bringing somebody into whatever group. Like, let's say you're in like a project-based group and you bring somebody onto your team that you think is going to really help you. And then when it comes time for like their area of expertise, they go, I can't have anything to do with this. And they back away, and then everyone else has got to figure it out. You might have to bring somebody else in. I could get the frustration of that. Now, I'm not saying that Sessions didn't have reasons. He probably did. But I understand both sides, I guess, of that. Just from like I don't know, from the perspective of being annoyed that a person would choose to do something like that. I get it. So, August 2018, skipping right over July. Sessions' future looks bleak. So tensions came to a boiling point in August as Mueller won his first major victories in the Russia investigation. Two former Trump allies, Paul Manafort and Michael Cohen, were convicted of charges brought against them as a result of Mueller's probe. Manafort, Trump's former campaign manager, was found guilty of 5 counts of tax fraud, 2 counts of bank fraud, and 1 count of failing to report foreign bank and financial accounts. The judge declared a mistrial on 10 other charges, but Manafort still faces up to 80 years in prison. On the same day as Manafort's conviction, Cohen admitted to illegally interfering in the 2016 election. Trump's longtime lawyer pleaded guilty to 5 counts of tax evasion, 2 counts related to an illegal campaign contribution, and 1 count of making a false statement. So, yeah, let's see. And then Trump just took all that anger out on Jeff Sessions about those things. So Sessions is out of there come November. That is probably where that's going. If you're part of any of those weird betting websites where you can bet on just odd things, 2-1 that Jeff Sessions is out in November. 2-1. So, yeah. And also, I'm not a bookie, so don't expect to place any kind of bet with me and have me honor it. That will absolutely not be happening. Okay, so I do want to see this Cohen admitted to illegally interfering in the 2016 election, because I love when people say election interference, because that really runs the gamut of any possible thing that could have anything to do with election interference. If you post something on Facebook that people believe without looking into it on their own, and then they base one of their decisions off of that, they will say that you're interfering in the election, which is absolutely ridiculous, because that's not how that works. In my opinion, anything short of physically actually altering campaign or election result data, if you hack into a machine and you make it impossible to vote for the other person, or you change the numbers, or you literally actually change something about the election process, unless you're doing that, you're not interfering in the election. I'm sorry, you're just not. This might be the point of critical mass for people who don't want to take responsibility for their own actions. This might be where they're peaking, where it's everyone else's fault because they got tricked. That's crazy. I don't know, but it is strange, and I'm not even gonna look into this Michael Cohen thing. It just annoys me. I don't get it. People don't want to be responsible for their own actions ever, to the point where it's now literally affecting the government. It's now affecting the government. When are people I don't know. When does it stop? When does it stop? When do people say, hey, I believe something that was fake. I guess I messed up. It's not really Russia's fault. I don't know. So, I love this quote from Trump here in the news. Trump on John Kerry possibly running in 2020. I should only be so lucky. And he's right. John Kerry will get stomped on. I heard recently Joe Biden's name come up. That Joe Biden is almost like he's trying to make himself into Batman over it, where he doesn't want the job, but he thinks that he needs to take the job for the citizens. It's very Batman, very cliche. he puts his foot in his mouth possibly more than Donald Trump. So that would be, I can't wait for the back and forth between them, because Joe Biden is absolutely one of those guys. You can just tell from looking at him that if somebody insults him, he's going to insult back without thinking first. And he's probably a really, really intelligent guy, but I think, and Trump is too, and I still think that they're very similar in that I don't think they're going to be able to help themselves. They're going to get into these weird little wars of words, but we'll see. All right, so there was a Jerusalem conference that Monica Lewinsky was at, because why not, I guess. So she walked off the stage when she was asked about Bill Clinton, apparently. What the hell was she doing in Jerusalem, though? This is from Washington Post. Monica Lewinsky, the former White House intern turned anti-bullying advocate, walked off stage Monday night at a conference in Jerusalem when she was asked a question relating to former President Bill Clinton. Yonit Levi, one of Israel's top news anchors, asked Lewinsky, who has spoken in recent years about the humiliation she endured after her affair with the former president was made public, whether she still expected a personal apology from Clinton. Now, recently in an interview with ABC News, former President Clinton was rather irate when he was asked if he ever apologized to you personally, and he said, "I apologized publicly. Do you still expect that apology, that personal apology?" asked Levi. "I'm so sorry I'm not going to be able to do this," said Lewinsky before laying her microphone down and walking off the stage. So, yeah, let's see. Yeah, later on, she said that Levi had put that same question to her when they met ahead of the conference, and she had responded that it was off limits. So, she goes, "When she asked me it on stage with blatant disregard for our agreement, it became clear to me I had been misled," Lewinsky wrote. So, yeah, and then Lewinsky actually posted on Twitter, I guess, the parameters that were supposed to be discussed in or actually, no, she didn't. She posted, she basically explained what happened. So, yeah, it's journalism just showing its true colors yet again. This is off limits. Got it. And then they try to Shanghai you on a stage in front of an audience because they think that you're going to be too nervous to back away, or you'd be too nervous to go against that request because there's now an audience. You're going to feel like you need to. Lewinsky did the right thing by putting the microphone down and leaving. There you go. Lewinsky didn't end the conference. That idiot journalist did. Levi, who apparently is like the Oprah of Israel, I guess. That's great. Maybe instead, forget it. It's just going to make a really, I guess, out of left field political statement that was going to require a long explanation that I don't want to do. So, what else we got here? Botswana, long and elephant refuge faces poaching threat. How is it not legal to hunt poachers, big game poachers? How's that not legal yet? That seems like a slam dunk law. Who's going to be against that? I guess religious people, anybody who I don't know, is against adequate punishment, I suppose. But I think if you're a big game hunter, and this has been said ad nauseum by a lot of other people, that if you're a big game hunter, the law should be that you can be hunted as well. Not just a big game hunter, because some of that stuff is done quote unquote legally, even though it's morally reprehensible. But more of the hunting the endangered species. If you're somebody going out there actively causing the extinction of a species and showing the world that you don't care at all because you continue to do it, you should also be fair game out there on the plains. And then let's see how many of these poachers are still out there when you have small militias hunting them down. And I'm not saying you even have to kill them, but capture them. There should be just open bounties out on anybody who is hunting endangered species. Dozens of elephants killed near Botswana Wildlife Sanctuary. Dozens of elephants. And I want you right now, because it's very easy to just glance at those things, go, that's a shame, and then walk, and then just continue on. I want you to just take a moment, and I want you to picture a baby elephant face, just in your head. Picture a baby elephant walking around. Looks like it's smiling. It's got its trunk. It's waving it around. It's wiggling around, following the larger elephants. I want you to think about that little baby elephant. And then I want you to rethink about the headline, dozens of elephants killed near Botswana Wildlife Sanctuary. And I want you to question, what is the solution to this? And that's it. Because there's nothing else to do. There's nothing else to do. Everyone's hands are tied. So, sorry, elephants. It's going to be interesting trying to speak to grandchildren and great-grandchildren about what an elephant was. Or a rhinoceros, or, anything else out there in the African wilderness. So, let's see. What else we got? You know what? This is a good time for me to take a quick break so that I can tell all of you about a fundraising thing happening at our radio station. Take it away, me.
Basically, WPWL's annual membership drive is underway. Please donate so we can continue to bring you great programming and information. Go to paulingpublicradio.org for more information on how you can do that. So, yeah, it's our membership drive. If you could donate, that would be incredibly lovely. As I said earlier in the other read for Miss Skadeski's Paint and Sip Party, Part 6, we are a 501c3 organization, which means not-for-profit. So, membership, it kind of helps the station continue to run. Think about how important this station is. In a land of nonsense and just generic audio content coming from everywhere you look. I wish I didn't say look there, because I'm talking about ears. Yeah, with all of that, our station stands like a beacon amidst all that crap. Because we're an independent station. We're beholden to none. We can do, this show is evidence. We can talk about whatever we want within FCC guidelines without getting too cheeky. But yeah, and it's all because we're a not-for-profit that we can do this. And because we can do this, we can actually speak honestly and openly to the listeners and provide you with content that you're absolutely not going to get anywhere else. You're just not. So your membership really does matter. It's a tax-deductible membership also if you're looking to deduct from your taxes, I suppose. And yeah, we provide entertainment for not only Pauling, but the lower Harlem Valley. Our tower is up, our range, it goes out there. There are a lot of people. So, yeah, it says here on the card, timely information, educational outreach, wide variety of music, and emergency announcements. But that is just the basics. We have, I don't even know how many shows we have at this station. It's gotta be close to 40. No. 40? I don't know. It's a bunch. We have a lot of contributors, though. Yeah, it's not stuff you're going to get anywhere else. So please help us survive. It's important that you do that, even just from a ideological standpoint. It's important to support the independent businesses. It's very important to do that. Because when they go away, everyone is the worse off for it. So, again, paulingpublicradio.org. If you can donate, please do. The information is up there. Click on Support Us, I believe, at the top of our page. Yep, there it is. Support Us. And then you can donate right there through PayPal or credit, I believe. But yeah, so that would be wonderful, everyone, because, of course, it is our annual membership drive.
Good stuff, me. Thanks for that read. Okay, back into everything else that we're doing. Who's Jeffrey Owens? I saw something about this yesterday. Cosby Show star Jeffrey Owens. Who the hell is that? Who is he? Yeah, this was a trending topic yesterday on Twitter. That was hashtag actors with day jobs, and it came from this thing. Jeffrey Owens is apparently a Cosby Show star. I don't know who he played. This article is just outright refusing to tell me. So basically, Jeffrey Owens, you know what? This is going to drive me nuts unless I know who he was on The Cosby Show. Jeffrey Owens. He was, oh, okay. He was known for his role as Elvin on The Cosby Show. So, I think Elvin wasn't he one of the boyfriends or one of the daughters or something on The Cosby Show? Yeah, Sandra Huxtable's boyfriend, Elvin. Married Sandra and became a regular character in 1987, appeared on the series till it ended in 92. So, Jeffrey Owens, it came out recently because somebody posted a picture online somewhere of Jeffrey Owens wearing a Trader Joe's uniform, I believe it was. Yeah, he was job shamed, one of the new buzzwords. Everyone write it down. Write down job shamed. That's a new thing that we're doing now. And you want to be cool, right? Like the liberals who wear cowboy hats and scarves at the same time in an urban environment. So, yeah, over the weekend, the Cosby Show star started trending on Twitter after he was job shamed in a Daily Mail article for working at a Trader Joe's grocery store in New Jersey. Celebrities including Pamela Adlon, Justine Bateman, Terry Crews, Patricia Heaton, Patton Oswalt, and Blair Underwood defended him, with many of them using that hashtag actors with day jobs. Owens, who in recent years has appeared in episodes of Showtime's The Affair, HBO's Divorce, and CBS's Elementary, broke his silence on the matter on ABC's Good Morning America on Tuesday, which is today. Excuse me. Wearing a Yale hat and his Trader Joe's name tag, Owens told Robin Roberts, "It's really overwhelming in a good way, but I kind of feel like the character in that Woody Allen movie who wakes up one morning and he's a celebrity all of a sudden, who has no idea where it came from. It came out of nowhere. I really want to thank everybody out there, family, friends, Hollywood community, and the general public for the incredible support, for the amazing support and positivity they have shown for me. It's really astounding. It's quite encouraging." Joking that the Daily Mail's images were photoshopped, Owens said he was devastated after the story was sensationalized in other outlets too. But the period of devastation was so short because so shortly after that, my wife and I started to read these responses from literally all over the world of support, he added. So fortunately, the shame part didn't last very long. And let's see. He had been working at this Trader Joe's for 15 months before a woman snapped some pictures and shared them online. People recognized me every day, and they were very, very cool about it. Sometimes, like, too cool, he said. And he just quit his job due to the attention he was getting. And he was working there to make ends meet. He goes, I've been teaching acting directing for 30 plus years, but it got to a point where it just didn't add up enough. You got to do what you got to do. Although there was renewed interest in his career, Owens said he wouldn't feel comfortable getting acting jobs as a result of being job shamed in a public forum. And good for him. Good for him on taking that stand. That's a man with integrity. This is a man to be respected. I wouldn't mind getting auditions, he said, but in the end he added, I want to get a job because I'm the right person. Nailed it. Thank you. This man, that's leading by example, folks. That is leading by example. I think a lot of people, probably my age, not that I'm trying to say I'm above anybody or shame anybody around my age, but there's a millennial problem out there. And I think that this idea of exploiting sort of a flash-in-the-pan notoriety to try to get a career out of it, that happens far too often with sort of people coming up now in the entertainment world, like YouTube stars and things like that. I don't know. It's never a good idea. It never works out. And it's also, it's not cheating exactly, but there's something weird about it. And how do you feel good getting a job based on something that you didn't really do? People just start paying attention to you for the wrong reason, and then you turn that into a job. I mean, I guess I don't know. It is weird. I think this is, and it's probably really easy to fall into that too. Of here's some negative attention. Let me try to get a career out of it, and make a lot of money out of this. There's probably a significant amount of temptation to do something like that. I would probably need to think a little bit about it. But so I'm including myself in this young people thing, this millennial thing. Take a page out of this man's book. Handle that with grace and integrity. He doesn't want to get a job just because of this. He wants to get a job because he's the right person. Hell yeah. That's what this, what's his name again? Jeffrey Owens? That's great. If I was Louis J. Gomez, I would call you the real ass dude of the week, but I'm not. And that's from, what the hell's the name of that show that he does? I can't remember. I think it's just called the Real Ass Podcast. Anyways, so let's see what else we got here. Yeah, Owens added, I feel like I'm more of a celebrity now than I've ever been. And in a weird way, Owens admitted he is grateful this experience happened. The businesses of my being the Cosby guy who got shamed for working at Trader Joe's, that's going to pass. In some measure of time, that's going to pass away. But I hope what doesn't pass is this rethinking about what it means to work, the honor of the working person, and the dignity of the work, he explained to Roberts, adding, there is no job that is better than another job. It might pay better, it might have better benefits, it might look better on a resume and a paper, but actually it's not better. Every job is worthwhile and valuable. If we have a rethinking about that because of what's happened to me, that would be great. But no one should be sorry for me, either from a positive or negative perspective. I've had a great life, I've had a great career, I've had a career that most actors would die for, so no one has to feel sorry for me. I'm doing fine. That's how he concluded that. Hell yeah. Jeffrey Owens, you are, I don't know, I guess I'll make you the Fringe person of the week. And that's not going to be a bit that I do now. Because like I just said, I'm already familiar with a different podcast that does Real Ass Dude of the Week, and I don't want to infringe upon that. But Jeffrey Owens, that's a man to be respected, for sure. So, yeah. What else we got here? We got more politics inserting itself. Actually, the politics isn't inserting itself. It's these dummies that are inserting the politics into everything else and ruining everything else. And one of those is more, I would say, distasteful than the other. And that distasteful word is one I'm borrowing from, I accidentally clicked on a Rolling Stone article. I don't go to the Rolling Stones, I don't go to Rolling Stone Magazine's website. I don't subscribe to their stuff. If they have a link to something, I try not to click on it. And if I realize I clicked on it by accident, I get the hell out of there as fast as possible. Because I personally don't support any entertainment publication that puts a terrorist face on the magazine in an almost celebratory way. Almost celebratory. And the reason it's almost celebratory is because it's the cover of Rolling Stone. That is something that meant something at a point in time. Before that magazine, that publication turned into, I don't know, it became a bastardized version of itself. It's almost like a parody of what Rolling Stone was supposed to be, or like a bad joke about, sort of a dystopian Rolling Stone magazine. It was supposed to be about cool bands. It's not anymore. So, anyways, I'll go to the Fox News one. I would rather go to Fox News' website with their against the left bias, having full knowledge of that, than go to Rolling Stone magazine or their website. So, basically, it's Aretha Franklin's family. That pastor that they got, I don't know where they found this dude, but he has created quite a few faux pas thus far. So, and both happened at the funeral. Aretha Franklin's family says pastor's eulogy was offensive and distasteful. We'll get to the other thing that he did after that. Let's see. And I don't know how he got out of it because he sexually harassed Ariana Grande, but we'll talk about that after this. So the family of the late Aretha Franklin came out Monday against the eulogy given by a pastor at the music icon's funeral last week. The remarks delivered in Detroit by Reverend Jasper Williams Jr. on Friday were met with wide criticism on social media, and now by the family of the Queen of Soul, with nephew Vaughn Franklin telling the Associated Press that they consider it to be offensive and distasteful. Williams is the pastor of Salem Bible Church in Atlanta. Initially, he said he felt his sermon was appropriate and that his timing was right, especially after other speakers spoke out on the civil rights movement and President Donald Trump. He said his remarks about black women being incapable of raising sons alone were taken out of context. What an idiot. This guy is our Dunce of the Week. We haven't had Dunce of the Week in a little while. Congratulations. It's back with a bang. Dunce of the Week is the pastor from Aretha Franklin's funeral. Let me find his name again. Reverend Jasper Williams Jr. So he says remarks about black women being incapable of raising sons alone were taken out of context. In the eulogy, Williams described the idea of children being raised without a provider, father, and a mother as the nurturer. He considers that abortion after birth. That's the phrase that he decided to go with in his eulogy for Aretha Franklin. So Aretha Franklin, turns out, single mother of 4 children. So a lot of people interpreted his remarks as a dig toward the singer. And now, if you're a person who understands that a reverend probably wouldn't take this job and then bash the deceased on television, if you're intelligent enough to know that that was probably not his intent, then you should know that those remarks were not a dig toward the singer. It's a stupid thing, you know? It's like when you're sitting with like a group of friends and you criticize like something that people do, and like immediately after you do that, you remember that one of the people in that group does that thing, and then everyone knows, and you kind of have to go, but not you. You're cool. You know, it's that kind of thing. So I mean, it's that everyone has been there before. You know, everyone has made that little screw up where they said something dumb. I mean, we didn't all do it on television at the funeral of somebody who is going down in world history as one of the great artists of all time. We don't all have that magnitude of this mistake, but so he said that he said black women are incapable of raising sons alone, and then turns out Aretha Franklin, black woman raising sons alone for many years. And so here's more quotes from this dummy. Here's the root of what I've been talking about. In order to change America, we must change black America's culture, he said. We must do it through parenting. In order for the parenting to go forth, it has to be done in the home. The home. But on Monday, Vaughn Franklin said the family expected a proper eulogy that concentrated on his aunt's life. Williams' spokesman said in a statement Monday evening that Williams respects the family's opinion and that he's sorry they feel that way. What? Oh my God. What a just bad person. I don't want any kind of pastor at any... if I ever achieve something where people would want to view my funeral or something like that, I don't want anybody... I don't want a religious figure that has their own spokespeople having anything to do with it, the ceremony. They should have seen this guy coming. This con artist. You're a pastor, but you have your own spokespeople. You're wearing what appears to be a platinum cross over a $5,000 suit, probably. I remember something called Vow of Poverty. That's just me. I don't know. But what do I know? I'm a young, naive man. So, yeah. So that was only one thing he did. He turned the eulogy of Aretha Franklin into a soapbox to call for the black community to, I don't know, change through parenting, which is it's a bizarre time to do that. I mean, I feel like this guy's trying to, maybe he wants to be Al Sharpton or Jesse Jackson. Maybe that's the route he's going in. And he got this enormous platform and decided, I'm just going to say the stuff they say and see if I can't become a household name. That's what I think. I think he saw an opportunity to get his name out there and he took it. He also groped Ariana Grande on stage. Again, this was live on television. So let me find, I keep forgetting this dummy's name. Jasper Williams Jr. Okay, so they're calling him offensive and distasteful. And then his response to the family, instead of being like, I'm sorry, that was the wrong time. I understand I probably should have done a proper eulogy. He doubles down. He goes, well, I thought it was okay because everyone else is being political. Sorry you feel that way about what I did. Is there any less genuine apology than I'm sorry you feel that way? That's what passive-aggressive teenage girls say to each other. And no one else should, ever. Unless you're just a irrational teenage girl. You shouldn't be saying, I'm sorry you feel that way. So this guy's just kind of a bad person. I mean, it's not like this wasn't a ceremony for him. So he shouldn't be saying, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And if anybody doesn't like it, too bad. If it was like, if he decided to do this at like his birthday party, his own birthday party, and do that, fine. But it's not about you, Jasper Williams Jr. Now let me try to find this Ariana Grande thing because where is it? I know I saw it. The thing. Oh, come on. Here it is. Oh, sorry. Different guy. Okay. So Jasper Williams Jr. is busy making the ceremony about himself and, what he thinks the world should hear at the most inopportune time. So also, Rolling Stone. Damn it. Okay. Let me go. Ariana Grande. It wasn't that same guy. Where'd they find this team of people? This is insane. Let's see here. Oh, why is Mike Coulter from Luke Cage apologizing for comments he made about this? So let's go to Billboard. Basically, Bishop Charles Ellis III really got his arm around Ariana Grande and just not letting her go, it seems. And that hand is really like, it's great. He's trying to cop a feel a little bit. The hand is sneaking around the body, and it is, yeah, if he's not grabbing part of her breast, he's trying to find a way to get that done. So, and it's all over the internet. If you just Google Ariana Grande Aretha Franklin funeral, you're gonna see the picture of this creep, grabbing Ariana Grande. That'd be cool if Pete Davidson challenged that Bishop to a fight, and then we got to watch that on pay-per-view or something. That would be cool. So Mike Coulter, the star of the Netflix show Luke Cage, apologized for a tweet in which he appeared to glorify footage of Bishop Charles H. Ellis III inappropriately touching Ariana Grande following her performance at Aretha Franklin's funeral on Friday. So what was this tweet? Now this is how you shoot your shot. 0 Fs. That's what he tweeted out. So it's basically just making a joke about about this guy's confidence level of you know what? There's Ariana Grande. I'm going for it. That was basically the joke he was making. And then he had to tweet out an apology. Well, hold on. He apologized for the tweet and then deleted his apology. What the hell's that about? Let's take a look here. Wow, look at this. This is the culture we live in right now. And here's what's interesting. I'm really good. There's a nice little narrative that's forming right now. Hold on, I got a cough. Excuse me. Okay, so Coulter's tweet also included a series of laughing emojis. And in a matter of minutes, he received severe criticism on social media, with fans accusing him of glorifying sexual assault. He wasn't. He was not glorifying sexual assault. He was making a joke. And people were even calling for his firing from the Netflix series. Now, that's my favorite part of this, is the almost Stalinist, not even Nazi. I'm going more Stalinist because there was a lot more of this kind of behavior, I think, just from what I know from history, in Stalinist Russia for decades than in Nazi Germany. The idea of it doesn't. Let me explain this whole thing. I gotta kind of get all my thoughts in a line here. Let's start from the start. That was me taking a drink of Monster Energy. Again, willing to do the skateboard commercial. If you can know anybody at Monster, get that out there. So, back to this serious topic. Mike Coulter and the TV show Luke Cage. If anybody remembers when Luke Cage was coming out, and it must have been within the last couple of years. Let me just find the date so we can kind of get a sense of how quickly your allies turn on you when it comes to being on the left politically. Luke Cage, and I'm going to go to Wikipedia and I'm going to find the praises because it's very important for what I'm about to say. I think you kind of see where I'm going with it by now. If you don't, keep listening. So, critical response for Luke Cage on Netflix. On Rotten Tomatoes, the website's critical consensus reads, an immersive, socially conscious narrative and a confident, charismatic lead performance make Marvel's Luke Cage a stellar sampling of the new Marvel Netflix universe. Now, there was something that was said quite a bit when that first season of Luke Cage was coming out, and that was how powerful the image of a black man in a hoodie being bulletproof was. And now, while I think that's a little sensationalizing sort of, this Marvel television series, I'll admit that I was wrong. I thought this must be another show where they're just trying to show that they're being good for the sake of being good, the producers, and they don't actually care about the issues. They just want people to think that they're nice and socially conscious and everything. And I started to, I was looking at people's reactions to the show as not even looking at it as a show, taking it too far. And that always annoys me a little bit with different things. But I sat down, I watched Luke Cage, and the first 3 episodes didn't really hook me. But I went back later on, and I'm glad I did. And I watched the rest of the season in a day or two. And it was great. And I was wrong about my theories on people just reading way too much into this show and trying to find social messages that weren't there when it was just a dumb comic book show. But watching the show, now, if anybody couldn't tell, I'm white. I'm a white suburban kid, and I don't have perspective necessarily on other ethnicity representation in media. Now, I still agree with the Jeffrey Owens thing about people not getting jobs for the sake of getting the job, just getting the jobs because they're the right person for the job. But this is not about that. This is about Luke Cage. While I was watching Luke Cage, a lot of it was very socially conscious. There was a message there, and I feel like I can understand why maybe. And again, I'm really trying to point out that I really am lacking an enormous amount of perspective here, but I feel like it's a show that has a positive message for the African American youth, I would say. Because Luke Cage, that show is all about not feeling sorry for yourself, not succumbing to your problems, not turning to crime because that's the convenient outlet. The whole show is about rising above, taking care of your neighborhood, respecting your fellow man and woman, helping people when there's no reward there for you. There's just a lot of positive messages in the Luke Cage show, and they do not hit you over the head with it. And I thought that was really brilliant. And I understand now why people held that show in such high esteem when it first came out. And I was wrong. I thought it was just another, one of those kinds of things. I'm trying to think of an example, but I'm struggling to. So I've liked Luke Cage a lot since that first season. I think Mike Coulter is fantastic in the role. He's like the perfect guy for it. He has a similar wisdom, his character in that show, to Lawrence Fishburne's character in Boys in the Hood, if that makes sense. There's a scene in Boys in the Hood, and I haven't seen this movie in years, but there's a scene where Lawrence Fishburne brings the kids. I don't even remember who it was at this point. It got to be. No, I couldn't even guess the actors. It's been too long. But he brings them to a pretty dangerous area, I think. And he's explaining sort of what the area is. I don't know. It's similar. The message that he's saying in that scene, which I wish I knew more about it or anything about it, or remembered anything about it. And his character is similar to that character in that scene. And, inspiring and that kind of thing. And so what's really interesting now is that just 2 years later, Mike Coulter makes a joke. After the show that he's on, the show that he championed, the role that he's really just knocking out of the park, is so good, and I've heard black friends of mine say before that as a white person, I can't understand black representation in the media, and that there was something, and I don't think I'd heard it before. It was when around the time I'd started working at the station. I think I was talking to Javon Bradley, my former co-host of Idiots, which will hopefully be revived at some point. Not him; he's alive. I'm talking about Vidiots, but Javon. We were talking about race in comic books, and sort of like there's something that's very controversial in the comic book community. It's not something I care about particularly because at the end of the day, they're all fictional characters. Comic book creators change the race of their characters quite often, and it creates a lot of outrage in hardcore nerds. And it's not even necessarily a racist outrage. It's sort of, why are you just changing this character that I love into a different character just for the sake of diversity? That's that argument. And the other argument is, and it's one that Javon kind of taught me, and I didn't consider it before because how could I have considered it? I don't think it's something that I necessarily would have come up with on my own without perspective from the other side, is when you're a kid and you're looking up to these characters, these heroes and stuff like that, it is mostly a sea of white faces. And apparently that's, again, I don't have a ton of perspective, but what Javon was telling me, and I've heard it since then in other places, is that to have hero characters that minorities can look up to is very important, sort of in how these kids look at themselves growing up. If they see somebody who looks like them, succeeding, being a good person, doing all this stuff, they're more likely to relate to that and to try to emulate it. That's what I heard. So basically, Mike Coulter was, he's Luke Cage, and Luke Cage very much was this kind of thing. And it was a show that really did bring up a lot of sort of racial conversations, which are important. I feel nervous just talking about race right now. I mean, I'm not a racist, and I don't think I've said anything that could be considered racist. I hope I haven't. But it always does feel strange discussing race, because it is so easy for that discussion to go sideways at a moment's notice and turn into just a cacophony of anger and apology and explanation, all kinds of things. So, but I don't think that's happening here. I'm just trying to speak honestly and openly about this issue. My grand point here, though, is that Mike Coulter, the people who were sort of championing him as Luke Cage, a lot of these people were on the left. If you look at the people who were like, this is so good, this is so great, a lot of that demographic was people on the left. Now, those very same people on the left, because Mike Coulter made a joke that they didn't agree with, want him fired from that Netflix series. Now, I just explained to you sort of the social importance of that Netflix series, the way that it sort of tries to express positivity and good things. And none of that matters anymore. That has been rendered moot because Mike Coulter made a joke on Twitter. So all that stuff I just talked about everybody loves it. It's so great. It's inspiring. It's fantastic. It opens up important conversations about race that need to take place, but don't because of, I would say, fear and fear of confrontation. More than that, or fear of being misrepresented by accident in whatever the conversation is. So Mike Coulter in that show brought up all of that positive all these positive trends that came from that. It doesn't matter anymore because he made a joke on Twitter. Isn't that kind of insane? Like, you want him to be fired from the Netflix series because of a Twitter joke? Like, weigh the good against the bad here for half a second. Because it's not like, it's almost like the people on the left every day wake up with a blank slate mind that tabula rasa thing. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but blank slate, which is I don't remember which philosopher came up with that. I think it might have been Locke. But basically, it's like the left wakes up every day and they forget everything from the past. And they see something offensive and they have nothing of the past to reference. No context, no, okay, we know that this person is probably not being malicious. No, there's none of that. All those memories of the positive things, of the good things, gone. And all there is the present moment of somebody saying something that they don't agree with. And what is the punishment for saying something disagreeable? Why? Removal from everything that you've built. That is insane to me. And it is Stalinist. It is Stalinist. Because if you look at the way Stalinist Russia ran, one day you're a hero. The next day you're in a prison camp, or you're dead, or you're being interrogated about something you know nothing about. Now, that's obviously not as extreme as what's happening here, but the mindset is very similar. This idea of we will turn on anybody at a moment's notice if we even suspect that they're doing something to hurt the party. Let that sink in. That's a dangerous trend we're heading towards. And it's also interesting, if you want to build a conspiracy out of this, that, and again, I'm getting a lot of this information from Fox News. I'll be honest about where I'm getting that from. The left seems pretty gung-ho about socialism right now. Not saying everybody, but there's a lot more chatter about socialism now than there was even just a year ago. And a lot of that's because of that Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez woman from New York City. But this idea of socialism taking place, it's interesting that the mindset is heading towards that Stalinism, and people are also kind of calling for the country to head that way too. In the name of justice, which is strange. There's a great quote. I need to find it somewhere about... I don't even know what I would Google to find it. But basically, Aretha Franklin's funeral went off the rails because the guy who gave the eulogy was a dick, and the other guy was following his dick. So, yeah, not a banner moment for whatever parish these two gentlemen came out of. Or parishes. I don't know if they're from the same spot. I would assume so. But maybe not. So, yeah. And I don't like that they dragged Mike Coulter into it, because for all the positive things Mike Coulter has done, you honestly think he's championing sexual assault? Really? Use your brain for a second. After everything positive that the person does, they're championing sexual assault? Because of a joke? It's absolutely ridiculous. And it drives me insane. So, alright, we're like over an hour now. I was going to mention Steve Bannon. They're saying Steve Bannon caused the New Yorker Festival to go down in flames, but that's absolutely not true. Steve Bannon was invited. The New Yorker on Monday, they're getting this from businessinsider.com. Let's read the bullet points here. The New Yorker on Monday announced that Steve Bannon, the nationalist former White House chief strategist, would headline the New Yorker Festival's 19th edition. Prominent Twitter users, including some New Yorker staff members, quickly attacked the decision. Within hours, several top celebrities announced they would not attend the festival. The New Yorker reversed course on Monday evening, saying it would look for another format to interview Bannon. And it says, while polarizing, Bannon has enjoyed significant political success and his announced presence arguably dismantled a top-tier event celebrating intellectualism in media. Excuse me. Now, Steve Bannon is at zero fault for this. Say what you want about Steve Bannon. I don't know enough about the man. I've heard a lot of things calling him racist, misogynistic, xenophobic, all these different things. But I've heard the same things about Jordan Peterson, and after looking into Jordan Peterson on my own, don't see it there. So I don't know what my views on Steve Bannon are. All I have is what the vocal minority on social media shouts about on a daily basis, which is often wrong. Because if you see those people online ranting about certain things that you are pretty in the know about, it was pretty obvious that they're just yelling out their emotions and not actual facts. So, say what you want about Steve Bannon. This is not his fault. He was invited to go to the New Yorker Festival, to headline the New Yorker Festival, and he said yes. So Steve Bannon didn't cause the festival to go down in flames. The people who said, oh, Steve Bannon's doing something here, then I won't do my separate event somewhere else during this festival. It's not like they had to sit on a panel with him. It's celebrities again getting, thinking that they're more important than they are. And they see Steve Bannon, they go, that's a divisive figure. I won't be a part of this because it looks bad for my brand. If you convince yourself it's about ideology at all, you're wrong. So, because it was bad for their brand to be a part of a festival that Steve Bannon also happened to be at. Think about that. It's not like they all had to work together. Separate things. Festivals, a lot of different things going on. Anybody who dropped out of that festival because Steve Bannon was on the premises, that's whose fault it is that the festival went down in flames. It's the people who literally actually caused it to go down in flames. So to blame Steve Bannon, it's lazy and it's not true. It's not an accurate reflection of the events. So, I mean, Steve Bannon being alive is not... you know what I mean? Like, it's not his fault how people behave around him. You know what I mean? The only person's behavior that you're responsible for is your own. And we seem to have forgotten that in this country, especially in the past 2 years. So I don't know. So I just wanted to say that. But yeah, basically I've done about an hour now. Still feel nervous about that racial conversation. But again, I wasn't... and if anybody feels weird about that, there's no maliciousness in my heart at all when it comes to racial things. I just think it's important to talk about these things. It's weird, me being... there's always a weirdness in just discussing race when you're a white person. There is something odd about that. Almost like you're not supposed to be doing it because you've been... There's that idea of privilege, which goes into a whole nother realm that we're not getting into at all. But it's... I don't know. They're important conversations to have. They're important things to have. But I'm by myself right now speaking about race, which is why I feel nervous about it. Hopefully I don't have to. Again, I don't have any maliciousness in my heart, especially not with race relations. So, yeah. So after that little aside, and if anybody's listening to this and being like, chill out, you don't need to be explaining yourself this much. For like 4 years reading the news and speaking about it in long form moments, you kind of do have to explain yourself constantly, because all I've seen for 4 years in the news is people who didn't explain themselves, or I don't know. It's just people being thrown under the bus over every little thing constantly. It's a weird time for speech. It's a very weird time because at any moment you could be turned on and then, escorted to the interrogation room where a comrade will torture you. So, yeah. Yeah. I guess that's an interesting way to end the show. By comparing, sort of taking an Orwellian look at things, but I don't know. I'm running out of steam fast. Thanks everybody for listening. I'll try to get this out as soon as possible and record again next week. Peace.